we will be going through how to edit your profile and your lead preferences, and a little bit more information about what to include in that About Me section, because I think that's a section that people really get confused about. We will be talking this morning for about 25 to 30 minutes. If you have questions at any time, please type them in the questions or the chat box so that I can make sure that those get answered. I am going to share my screen with you. So you should be able to see my screen now. It looks a lot like your IQ office. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to act as an agent. So as you're in your IQ office, once you've logged in, you're going to see a screen that looks an awful lot like this. Today, where we're doing our work is underneath your profile, which is if you click in the upper right-hand corner and you go down to your profile section. That's where you're going to be able to edit your About Me section, your photo, your lead preferences. There's a really neat goals tool in here, but I just want to take some time to go through each of these sections so that you know what the information is. So as you're looking at your agent info, if you need to change your street address or your email address or your phone number or anything like that, you can change that all right here. If you're looking for what your website is, it will be listed underneath your website address. And please don't change this export GUID. That is something that, for those of you that are with a national franchise, helps the franchise know what who you are. So that is what's underneath that agent info section. On the right-hand side of the screen are your links. And so what this does is it links your profile page to your social media. I'm going to show you what that looks like on the web so that you know what we're talking about. So if someone is on the web and they're looking for you, that's what actually fills in here in these grayed out icons so that people can figure out who you are. When they go to your About section on your company page or on your personal page, this is where this text is coming from. So when we're talking about editing your profile, this is where it shows up. Does that make sense to everybody? If you can just go ahead, drop in the chat box a yes, that makes sense, or no, that does not make sense. That would really help me out. Awesome. So this is where you link your social media. To link your social media, all you have to do is go to the social media page that you would like to link. And then you can go to your page. So if I go to my page, I can actually just copy, which is Control C, and then go to my profile and hit Control V. After you make any changes, make sure you're clicking that Save button in the upper right-hand corner. If you want to share a group or a page or something like that, you absolutely can do that. You're just going to go ahead and go to that group page and copy and paste the link into your social media section. Below the social media section is something called Images, and this is where you select the image that shows on your profile. If you want to change the image, it will always be the first image that shows, so you can actually drag and drop that image, or you can upload an additional image. When I do this, I just click Add Files. I can actually just go into my file, Photos, and say, hey, here's the photo I want to add, and it will enter into that section. As we just quickly talk about photos, I want to get a show of hands. Actually, I'm just going to do a poll really quick. I have a couple polls, but this isn't one of them. When did you update your photo last? So if you can go ahead and answer that question, I'm going to go ahead and show results to everyone. When was the last time you updated your photo? And there's a reason that I asked this question. I'm going to get into that. Leslie, thank you for being honest. So there is a serious issue in the real estate world with people updating their photos. And I know none of us like being on camera, but while we're talking about updating your photo, we live in a world where Instagram killed Kodak film and where Facebook people are consistently scrolling. And so if you haven't updated your photo in the last, I'm going to say minimum 18 months, then you are missing out, and people are thinking that you are either outdated, you don't keep up with the times, you might have gotten out of the business because there's a lot of people that come and go so quickly in this business. But let me just give you a quick example of photo updating and why it's important. So I'm going to just pull up my social media here really quick. So I get my photo retaken probably every 6 months. And the reason for that is if I go into my photos and I go to my albums, I'm going to show you what I looked like about. So this is my current photo. This was taken last year in like July-ish. But this is my headshot from 2 years ago. So I think that it is really important, and you get a really good visual when you see that even though you may not have, you may say, hey, I love that photo. People want to know who they're getting in their car with and why they're getting in their car with you. They also want to go into the office and recognize who you are. It's very, very important. So I would highly encourage, if you haven't gotten your photo retaken in the last 18 months, that you put that on your to-do list before the start of summer. So I'm going to give you till June 1st to get that photo done. The next thing as you scroll down that I'm going to do is, if you want to delete a photo, you can actually just click that trash button. It's going to ask you if you want to delete it, and you can delete it out of there. As you scroll down, you can reset your password here, or you can view your password. If your company is using the accounting system, it's going to show you can put your accounting information in here. That allows for the system to do direct deposit. If you're not using the financial section, just ignore this accounting part. But where you can edit your profile is down here at the bottom. So where it says profiles, this is your About Me section. So you can actually copy and paste your video that you've done in here. We're all afraid of video. Nobody likes being on video, but we all get better at it. The more you do it, the easier it gets. So that can be on your list before January 1st, 2020 to get a video profile done. If you don't want to be on the video, do a video of your area that you're doing the voiceover of, talking about why people should buy real estate there and why it's important to choose you. And then that section underneath that is where you put your profile set text. So I'm going to just do a quick little poll and say, hey, when did you last update this profile text? So this is About Me section. Y'all are so good. So the more people that participate in this, the easier it is. We've got about half of the people answering. So Eloise, George, Donna, if you can take a sec to do that poll, it would be super helpful. And the next question that I'm going to ask you is, in that About Me section, does it say that you're honest, hardworking, ethical, and that you like people? So I would bet that 90% of every real estate agent profile that I read says that I'm honest, I'm hardworking, I'm ethical, I love people, and that's why I got into the industry. And so as you're writing your About Me section, which I really do think is the hardest thing to do, I think that you need to be aware that by saying those 4 things, You are putting yourself in a box with every other agent on your board and in the nation. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about this profile as we're here, and ways that you can update it and it will help you get better. So is the information in your profile less than a year old? Again, it's that instant gratification that we're all facing with Facebook updates and Instagram updates and all of that. So every year you should be going in and updating something about you. There's been something that's happened in the last year that changes a little bit. It does not need to be a complete overhaul. My About Me section is never not going to say that I'm from Montana. That's something that's static, that's never changing, and that's going forward. However, are you part of a new committee? Have you found a new charity? Did you find something? Is there something about your area that's new? Really thinking about those things that make you unique as you evolve in the business are great things to share. The next thing that I just wanted to talk about is it personal or generic? And I think this is the thing that a lot of us struggle with the most, is by saying things like, I'm an honest, ethical, hardworking person who's really a people person. You may be unintentionally making yourself generic. So what is it about you and the way you do business that makes it a personal experience? There's nothing more personal in this world than buying or selling a home. It's one of the largest purchases that people make in a lifetime. I read an article from Forbes saying that the 3 largest purchases of someone's life are a retirement plan, a house, and a car. And so what is it about using you that makes you different than the person you're sitting next to? If you don't know what that is, talk to the person that you're sitting next to. Call your biggest fan. Who are the people that love you the most, who wouldn't mind saying, hey, and mine's my mom. Hey, mom, can you take like 2 minutes and write 3 sentences about me that make me different than everybody else that you know? And they'll do it. Your raving fans will do that for you. The next section is, did you use spell check? If you're going to be working with someone and helping them in the biggest purchase of their life, you need to make sure that you're checking your grammar and that you're checking your spelling. A really easy way to do this is there's an app called Grammarly, and you can copy and paste it into Grammarly, or you can install it as an add-in on your browser. The other thing that I try to do is read it out loud to myself, because if you read it out loud, you have to go slower and you can find your errors a lot faster. Is it too long? So some of us could talk about ourselves forever, and some of us cannot talk about ourselves at all, which is totally fine. We're all a little bit different, but this needs to be your 5-floor elevator speech, not your 30-minute dinner conversation. Where are you from? Why are you in the business? What makes you different? Why do you enjoy real estate? For more information, maybe you have a longer bio page. Let's call and have a conversation on the phone. Follow me on my social media. But this is your 5-floor speech, not your 30-floor speech. People need a glimpse of you. It needs to be impactful and to the point. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is, does it have an unexplained abbreviation? So in the land of awards, we all really enjoy all these acronyms, but the general public doesn't know what they are. I actually just even read a description of a listing that was sent to me, and it had so many 2-letter abbreviations that, as someone who's been in the industry for the past 7 years, I had to stop and think about what they were trying to say. So just because you know what it is, or someone in the industry knows what it is, make sure that you're explaining it. So if you say, I've gotten the CMA award this year, most people think that's the Country Music Award. Maybe it's the Community Member Award or something like that. So make sure you're explaining those abbreviations in your bio. When you're doing that, again, all you have to do to enter the text here is you actually can just type the text. Oh, I need to reshare my screen with you. I get all caught up in chatting with you all. So you're just going to type your text here. You can also format this. So you could actually say, hey, I need to change the font. I want to change the font size. I want to change the font color. Please be aware when you're doing font colors that by choosing red or green especially, a lot of people who have color blindness issues can't see green and red, but they can see blue, and they can see black, they can see blue, they can see other colors. So that's just something to keep in mind as you're going through and changing things. If you want to enter in a photo, you just click this little photo button here. It acts the same way as doing your profile photo. You can add a file here, or it pulls from your image library. So I could say, hey, I actually want to put this image in, and it will enter the image the size of the original image you uploaded. To change it, you just highlight it, and then you can change it by dragging these corners. This is clearly a giant photo that I uploaded, but you can see it's getting smaller. So I can upload my photo there. If I want to erase it, I just highlight over it and hit the delete key, and it will delete it out of here. As you scroll down, the next section is your email signature. And this is where you can choose your email signature for all your outgoing messages. It's also where, if you're creating material, you can insert your agent's signature and it will auto update for that content. So you can make a custom signature by typing in the box, or you can use a formatted template signature that either we've made or you've made from your content. If your company has them in there, they will be in there for you to use. Any questions on this detail section, or are you all ready to go on and talk about your lead preferences? Again, to get to this screen, we went to your name and then to your profile, and we're just underneath that details tab. So if you're ready to go on to the preferences section, please just type yes in that box. All right, it looks like we're ready to go. Perfect. Awesome. So your preferences. So this is your lead preference page. And this is where you decide how you're notified of new leads. So if you say you're out of office, it's going to automatically take you out of the lead router. You can also do that by clicking on your name and saying you're out of office. And what it does is it just takes you out of your company lead router and holds your place. And then when you say you're back in office, it puts you back in the same place. So if you do not want to accept leads, say that you are out of office. And then below that are the sections for notify your new leads by email, by text, and by phone. I have these set to always 24/7. Your choices are never or use my office hours, see below. I recommend this. I don't need to get an email always, but I always want to get a text. So I'm going to say, hey, send me an email during my office hours, but I'm always going to get a text, and I never want to get a phone call. You set this for how you want to receive leads. As you scroll to the very bottom of the screen, there is a section that says my office hours. So this is where you can say, hey, Monday I work 8 to 5. Tuesday I work 8 to 3:30. Wednesday I work, maybe I work till 7:15 on Wednesdays, but I don't actually work until 9:30. Again, once you're making changes, make sure you click the save button in the upper right-hand corner, because there's nothing more frustrating than doing a whole bunch of work and then losing it. So you're going to set your lead notification, your task notification are your action items for your contacts and your leads. How do you want to be notified of that? If your company is using IQ Voice, which are the numbers on your sign where people can call in and type in a code to get more information, this is how you want to get those calls. And the difference in a listing call and a contact call is this. A listing call is on your listing. A contact call is when one of your contacts calls on one of your company signs. Does that make sense to everybody? Awesome. So the next section underneath that are showings. So if you're using the system for showings, how do you want to be notified? And if you're using the system for transactions, how do you want to be notified? Below that, you have a section called default flyer. So now every time you take a new listing, you actually have the option to, let me see if I can add more material. There's going to be an email that you get that says, hey, your listing is live. Congratulations. We're super excited for you. Here are the things that you can do with your listings. And I'm going to pull it up. I actually have it in a download folder, and I can just pull it over there so you can see it. So you're going to get this email. It's going to say, hey, congratulations. Your clients have chosen you to represent their property. And here's what you can do with it. Here's all of the websites that go with it. If you click listing details, it's going to take you into your IQ office. You then have a section called property flyer, and you can share it on social media, or you can download or customize it. This property flyer is pulling from this default flyer section. So to change that default flyer section, you click the magnifying glass, and then you would select the property flyer. You can choose from our templates, or if your company has templates, you could choose from your company templates. To select that property flyer type, you just would click, hey, I want this on the market green, and then again, click save. Below that are your default action plans. So that means when a new listing comes in, what action plan do you want automatically assigned? When a property is reduced, what action plan do you want to assign? When a new lead comes in, what action plan do you want to assign? Again, to select these, you click on the magnifying glass next to them. You'll see all the action plans that you and your company have created, and you click select. And then you click save. If you're doing marketing notification, do you want to be notified of newly mailed items when your items are new nearby? And below that are your Zillow and Real Satisfied reviews. So if you want your Zillow testimonials to show on your website, which means here, do you want your Zillow reviews to show here? Click yes. And make sure that you put your Zillow email address in if it is different from the email you have in your IQ office. If you're using Real Satisfied, which is a survey software, you can say, hey, I would, yes, and you put your vanity key here. The allow acting as me section is really nice if you have other team members. So if you're a part of a team or you're an admin for a team, you can actually grant members of your team the ability to act as you. You would just find their name on the list of all your associates and move them into the selected box. If you don't want someone to be able to act as you, you just take their name out. And again, as you're making these changes, you click save. And that is the entire preferences section. Are there any questions from all of you on this section? Awesome. So the next and the last thing I'm lying. We're going to go through the services tab and then the goals tab. So there is something called IQ number. And so what this is it is a phone number that you can use to dial out or text from within the software. So I can see here, this one has a phone number attached because it's got a little phone at the top. And if I click call, it actually pops up a dialer here. Or I can go to a person and I can call right from here. This automatically attaches those calls to your client. You also can text out of the system. So I can actually go in and send a text, and that automatically attaches. It ends up showing underneath your text messaging, underneath messaging. To subscribe to that, you click subscribe. It's going to give you the option of the phone number. So I can actually say, hey, I want a 509 number. I can click search, and it's going to show me all the available 509 numbers. When I click next, it's going to ask me for my credit card information, and I click finish. The benefit of this is twofold. One, when I call out from this number, it's going to say, hey, Kelsey, connecting you to Cindy. And then when Cindy gets the call, it's going to show that it's coming from me. And it calls my cell phone calls Cindy. When Cindy calls that number back, it says, hey, Cindy, connecting you to Kelsey. It pushes that through to me. I see that it's Cindy's calling, but it acts as a business line for your cell phone. The nice thing about this is if you're out of town or you need someone else to take your calls during lead generation time or something like that, you can actually go in and you can change where that number goes. So I can go into my profile. I can go into my services. I can see that phone number. I can edit my payment method, or I can go into my details and I can say, hey, for my phone number, I need this number to be where it goes. Does that make sense to everybody? Which is pretty slick, especially if you have like, hey, I'm prospecting from 8 to 11 every morning and I need my numbers to go somewhere else. Or, hey, I want to have a business line so that I know when a business call is coming in and it's an unknown number versus it's an unknown number that's calling my cell phone because they got my number from a list. I love my IQ number. Especially because I don't have to carry around 2 phones or have to deal with a phone company. So the last section we're going to go through is this goals section. And this is where you can actually go through and you can start to set your goals and figure out what you want to do. So I can say, hey, I need to recalculate this. My living expenses every year are, maybe they're $15,000. And my commission earnings that I want to make are $75,000. And my GCI that's coming in before my bills and all of that, I'm going to say is maybe it's $150,000. Maybe you have a lot of expenses. What's the average sales price? So you go in and you enter all this in. As you change this information, it's going to show you how many sales you need to close and how many listings you need to sell and how many new listings that means you need to take and how many buyers you need to work with and how many buyers you need to have open at all times. So this really becomes your gauge for what you need to do to build your business and hit your goals financially. With that, that is the 30-minute time frame that I have lined out for us today. Again, we went to our name, we went to our profile, and all of that information is in this slide out underneath the details, the preferences, the goals, and the services section. I want to open it up now to any questions that you might have on anything. Go ahead, type them in the questions box or the chat box. And please know that if you have a question, 99% of the time, someone else does as well. And I do want to make sure that you're able to get in and update and work the system. Next month's schedule will be coming out here. I'm going to put it together. It'll be out by the end of the day today. So there'll be an email that goes out to you, but always Monday mornings at 8 a.m. I just haven't scheduled out what the content is for the next month. But we will be meeting Monday mornings at 8 a.m. for the foreseeable future. So here's the challenge for you all. And for all of you that have been on the webinar with me before, you know what's coming next. It is the time to get out your calendar and look at what your calendar is for the week and schedule yourself 30 minutes or so to go in and update your profile. Maybe you're going to call a photographer, get a new photo. Maybe you're going to work on getting a video of you done. But it's time to get out your calendars and put a time on your calendar this week that you are going to go in and work on your profile. Are you updating social media links? Are you updating your profile text about me? Are you going in and you're setting your goals? Maybe you're going to go in and you're going to edit your preferences. You're going to go in and add your default action plans or your default flyers. But here's the hardest part. We've spent about 30 minutes this morning together. And if you don't put a time on your calendar to actually go in and work on this, you never will come back to it. And consumers are out there looking for you. They want to know that you're up to date and that you are actively working on your business. And the first way that you can show them that is to make sure that your profile is up to date. So it's time to do that. Are there any other questions this morning? Jen, Leslie, Donna, George, Gina, Eloise. I want to make sure that I'm getting everybody's questions answered. There's no such thing as a silly question. If you have the question, someone else for surely has the question. You're welcome, Leslie. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video. It is recorded. It'll take a little while to render. It will get posted on our Facebook page. So feel free to look for it there. You'll also get an email with the link. If you haven't joined our Facebook group, this is the Realistic User group. We would love to have you be a part of it. It will also be posted to YouTube for you all to review so that when you're going through and doing things, if you have a question, you know where to go. You're welcome. I hope everybody has a great day.